Hello, it's Ricardo, and as we are on the eve of the Beyond Chapter 1 update being released, there's been an announcement from Frontier on the forums concerning crime and punishment. Now, it's quite a lengthy update, but we'll go through it, see if we can break it down a little bit. Essentially, the new crime and punishment system will add appropriate consequences for criminal activity, make the crime system more legible and easier to understand. There will be new rules for bounties and fines, and new rules for respawning after ship destruction. Now, we saw in the beta that when attacking the cargo ship with a good way, or attacking other players, that you would respawn in a detention centre and also have to pay a fine. And they come onto this in the post. Bounties and fines. Bounties and fines are applied to the ship you are in. Fines never mature into bounties. Bounties never become dormant. Bounties never expire. Fines can be paid off at security contacts. Bounties can be cleared by interstellar factors when your notoriety is 0. Claimed bounties for the jurisdiction you died in must be paid when you respawn at the detention centres. These changes aim to simplify crimes. You will now have more control over your criminal status risk and reward. You can store a ship with bounties on what they're calling a hot ship, so the ship that you've made the crime in, hiding your criminality, but the cost of not using the ship. Bounties are now more significant as you must use interstellar factors to clear them, which can be expensive. Interesting stuff. I suppose trying to subvert the fact that you've got a bounty on you by bringing a different ship into a station where you're currently at by transferring it in is now not going to be allowed. They continue. Commanders gain a notoriety rating, a value between 0 and 10. Notoriety increases by 1 whenever a commander commits a crime or a murder. Notoriety decays 1 unit every 2 hours of time when you are logged in the game, and will then go down to 0. So time served in the game, on the run or doing whatever it is, will then reduce your notoriety down to 0. For each level of notoriety, murder bounty values are increased by a fraction of the perpetrator's rebuy cost. The higher the notoriety, the bigger the fraction. So the more expensive the ship you crypt that crime in, the more you've got to pay. If the victim is a commander, a player rather than an NPC, then you pay 10% per point of notoriety of the difference between your base rebuy cost, factoring in engineering and the victim's rebuy cost. If your cost is less than your victim's, then this will be 0. This is to this is a bit strange. This is to de-incentivize destroying smaller ships than your own. So don't pick on other players is what it's saying, because you're going to get penalised. For people griefing at all the resource sites, this is where you're going to get your comeuppance apparently. This number, as well as others in the Beyond update, will be revised and tweaked after launch to make sure the game is balanced and as enjoyable as possible. Well, there you have it. They continue, a huge update this. In addition, commanders that are destroyed have their rebuy cost reduced based on the notoriety level of their murderer. The more notorious the assassin, the bigger the discount on rebuy costs for the victim. Notoriety is linked directly to the commander regardless of which ship they fly in. Any notoriety means the interstellar factors cannot clear your fines or bounties. So you have to, if you commit the crime, wait till your notoriety reduces down to 0, then clear the flag against you. This is to prevent small ships being destroyed by excessive ramming. Ramming and combat logging are 2 examples of other things that were given specific care and attention to. Keep an eye on the forums and on social media for any news relating to these topics. And I suppose, how are they going to detect what was a connection error, which, let's face it, does happen. I know highly unlikely right at that point when you're about to get destroyed, and combat login. Interesting stuff there. What do you think? Put it in the comments. I think combat login myself is completely wrong. I can see why people do it. Huge rebuy costs on the ships. But let's face it, I mean, you're subverting the game mechanic there. That's just being a sore loser. If you don't want that, play in solo and take your chance with the NPCs. They continue by saying these changes ensure that commanders can't completely shed their criminal status by swapping to clean ships. Very good. It also addresses the seriousness of the murder crime, especially against other commanders, as well as stopping people from attacking smaller ships. Okay, so hot ships and modules. So, a ship with bounties on it is indeed hot. A hot ship cannot be transferred to a port in a jurisdiction where the hot ship is wanted, so no one transferring ships in to try and subvert the hot ship status. Elsewhere, ship transfer costs are increased for the hot ship. Modules taken from a hot ship are hot modules. There's no getting around this, they've really thought it through. Hot ships can be cleaned using interstellar factors at a cost. Hot modules cannot be placed in a clean ship. Hot modules and ships can be sold at a markdown price. And this is to combat laundering of ships and modules. All very good stuff. Now this is something I think is great. Friendly fire and friendly fire tolerance. How many times have you been in a dogfight and you turned round and the fuzz have flown in, the rozzers have got in your way because you've been lashing someone with machine guns or non-gimbaled weapons, or they've just flown directly in the path of your fire, and then you've gained a little bit of a bounty on your head. Well, they've addressed this as well. And Frontier writes, the tolerance for friendly fire has been increased. You can deal more damage before you gain the assault crime. Exactly what I was just talking about. A new crime has been added, reckless weapons discharge, which triggers at the old friendly fire threshold and is only a fine. Well, that's fair. They've thought about this. And these changes reflect the potential increased consequence for a bounty, allowing more leeway before one is issued. Goes for mindlessly shooting the police whilst chasing a bounty yourself. Okay, congratulations if you're still with me. We're going to talk about detention centres now and anonymous access protocols. When in a hot ship, port services are restricted in jurisdictions where the ship is wanted. Your ship logs in anonymously. Fines prevent access to all services except missions in progress, security contact, interstellar factors, and black markets. What about refuel? Bounties prevent access to all services except missions in progress. Okay. Interstellar factors and black markets. When a hot ship is destroyed where it is wanted by a ship that has detected it is wanted, the commander will respawn at the nearest detention center that is aligned to the faction that the bounty was given. When respawning at a detention center, a commander must pay off their bounty or fine for the jurisdiction where they were destroyed in addition to their rebuy cost. All other bounties and fines remain attached to the ship. Players are forced to pay off bounties only and only if the bounty was claimed. So this helps make sure there are consequences for player crimes. Crimes committed between power play pledged commanders generate power play bounties. Power play bounties, we got this pop guard, can only be detected and claimed by commanders pledged to that power that issued them. Okay. So Advanced Tactical Response, or ATR. Authorities now have access to new security vessels, Advanced Tactical Response vessels. ATR ships are kitted out with top-tier hardware in exclusive and customized configurations, so they're gonna be pretty hard. They are extremely competent pilots. ATR ships can be summoned once a commander has committed enough crimes in a jurisdiction. The security of the system determines the level of crime before they are summoned. I'd imagine once they turn up, it's time to put your flipper down and get out of here. The security of the system determines the level of crime. So perhaps in an anarchy system, you'd probably get away with murder. Literally. ATR ships arrive with the full knowledge of their target and are pre-cleared to arrive weapons hot. Once ATR ships respond to crimes, they will continue to respond until the commander leaves the system. Now, also worth pointing out that when your ship is destroyed and you are not wanted, you can now respawn at a nearby starport if there's one available that's not faction hostile to you. If there are no appropriate starports, you'll respawn at the last starport you were docked at. Now also there's going to be some changes as well to the kill warrant scanner, which they're continuing to look at after feedback from the community. So Elite and Frontier are looking at the community, which is a lovely change, and I know they do read an awful lot of community posts. So I've been Ricardo, thank you very much for watching this video on the changes that are released recently of Crime and Punishment, and they'll continue to evolve as the Beyond Chapter 1 and other chapters progress through this season. Thanks very much for watching. This has been Elite Dangerous. Let's check out Beyond. See you soon and check out for more videos in the series.